supply kasi siya lang padadaanin sa Strait of Hormuz.
Yes, and
Hindi
Russia.
naman bibili si BBM sa China.
Ayun ang problema niya kasi hindi maganda ang relationship natin with China at the moment. At saka, with the new announcement of the United States saying na they will deploy more mid-range missile system sa Pilipinas, that is a no-no to China. As far as China is concerned, they oppose this. They've been opposing, ma'am, yung Typhoon missile system deployed already in the Northern Luzon. Kaya nagiinit ang ulo ng China dyan. Kasi malapit yan sa Taiwan.
Right.
And we know that Taiwan is the soft belly and actually there are two soft bellies, ma'am, ng China. That is the South China Sea, pero hindi pa ako nangangamba dyan masyado, ma'am, though very critical yan, and it's a spot for any kind of military conflict. However, maraming players dyan, ma'am. Andyan naman yung Malaysia, andyan din yung Vietnam. So hindi ganun ka, kumbaga, to have a military escalation, medyo mas lower ang dyan, ang possibility. Ang mahirap, ma'am, itong Taiwan.
Ang bisita po natin ngayon ay dalubhasa sa geopolitics at international relations at ngayon ay nagpi-PhD ng economics sa University of Peking. Dati na siyang may master's degree sa isang institute in France sa international relations at nagtapos din siya sa Universidad ng Pilipinas sa political science. Dati po siya nagtrabaho sa Asian Development Bank at pauwi na po siya dito sa atin sana mas maaga this year para po makinabang na po ang Pilipinas sa kanyang talino. Walang iba kundi ang aking hinahangaang kaibigan, Ana Malindog. Uy, welcome Ana to Usapang Matino.
Maraming salamat po, Attorney Guanzon, Ma'am Bing, for inviting me sa inyong programa at ako po ay nagagalak at ngayon po ay nandito na po tayo kasi matagal na po natin itong pinaplano pero ngayon lang natuloy. Pero I'm so happy po para nandito po ako sa inyong programa. Maraming salamat po ulit.
At tungkol po ito sa Iran versus Israel and US war, ang ating talakayan ngayon at anong mga implications nito sa Pilipinas at sa ating mga kababayan. Sa United Arab Emirates, mga kaibigan, ay halos 1,000 Pilipino ang OFW. At ayon sa Bangko Sentral Datos ay sa early, o ibig sabihin January to February this year, ay nag-remit sila ng 119 million pesos. At kung i-times 2 mo yan, i-times mo yan sa buong taon, aabot sila ng mga 1 bilyong piso na i-remit sa kanilang mga pamilya itong taon. At yan po ay mahalaga, hindi lamang sa kanilang pamilya, kundi sa pagpalutang ng ekonomiya ng Pilipinas. May mga tanong po tayo para kay Ma'am Ana. So, Ma'am Ana, yung pag-strike ng Iran missiles sa the United Arab Emirates ay nagsara ang airport, lahat-lahat. Ngayon, ano po ang implications nito sa oil reserves ng, for example, ng Pilipinas o ng China? Dahil alam ko po na ang China ay kumukuha ng kanyang oil doon din sa Iran.
Opo, let's contextualize po, Ma'am Bing, ang nangyayari po sa Iran versus Israel-US war na nangyayari ngayon.
Go ahead.
Opo, hindi na siya po, it's not necessarily contained between Iran and Israel and the United States. Makikita natin na escalated siya at naging regional conflict na po. But of course, ang mas apektado po is ang mga Gulf states. However, kailangan po natin ilay ang predicate po na itong attack on Iran, as far as international law is concerned, as far as the UN Charter is concerned po, is a violation ng UN Charter and international law. Unprovoked po yan, and false pretense as far as the United States is concerned. Kasi po, kung titignan natin, yung Atomic Agency, UN Atomic Agency, sinasabi niya na wala namang proof na Iran is actually on the verge of producing nuclear weapon. And on the other hand, Pentagon also said na walang sign that Iran will attack the United States. Kasi ang sinasabi ng United States, kaya nila inattack ang Iran is precisely 3 things. I-atake daw nila a threat to the United States, which is the mainland. On the other hand po, is yung sinasabi nila may program daw ng intercontinental ballistic missile ang Iran and nuclear weapon, which is pinabulaan po ito ng mga UN agency. Isa dyan is ang UN agency. So malinaw po that this is an assault to the Iran sovereignty, and at the same time, right now, kaya tayo nagkaroon ng war because Iran is responding, basing it in UN Charter saying that Iran has a right to self-defense. So as far as Iran is concerned, it's a right to self-defense. Ngayon, maganda ho ang tanong nyo kasi mas kailangan po natin maintindihan ano ang impact nito in the world, sa world economy at lalo na po sa Pilipinas. Kasi one thing that we have to remember po, aside from the fact na ang Pilipinas ay maraming mga OFW, especially sa Gulf states, kasama na dyan po ang Dubai, which is UAE, Bahrain, Oman, Lebanon, Kuwait, even Iraq is now part of the war. Makikita natin na marami tayong OFW. So when you talk about impact in the world economy, first and foremost pong impact dyan is makikita natin na right now po, yung Strait of Hormuz ay sinara na ng Iran, and Iran controls that area. So lahat ng tanker na dadaan dyan,
So,
except for
oil
Chinese
tanker.
tanker. Yeah, oil tanker po, ma'am. Ibig sabihin, 20% of the oil trade passes through the Strait of Hormuz. Pero ngayon, ma'am, nag-announce ang Iran na only Chinese vessels can pass through. Kasi magkaibigan sila, best friends sila.
Alright.
So, ngayon, 20% po ng oil pumapasok dyan. So ngayon, if you look at the world economy, magkakaroon yan, ma'am, ng economic shocks when you talk about oil supply. Not necessarily, ma'am, immediately na, ngayon na, pero in a matter of time, mararamdaman po natin yan. Ngayon, kung tatanungin po natin ang ating bansa, Pilipinas, one thing that we have to remember, ang bansang Pilipinas po is import dependent. Ang problema pa ng Pilipinas, hindi lang siya oil import dependent, but other goods, even rice we import. So when you talk about energy shock, unang tatamaan po yung tinatawag mong oil price hike. Tataas ang presyo ng oil kasi tataas ang merkado sa international, and then it will impact the Philippines, and that's one. Then another one is shipping delay. Magkakaroon kanding delay ng supply, not necessarily in oil, but even other tradable goods. And then yung insurance surges po, kasi may insurance yan. So that one. The second very important aspect when you talk about direct impact on the Philippines is yung tinatawag po nating OFW vulnerability. First, ang problema ng evacuation scenarios. Kanina po, nabasa ko ang pronouncement ni BBM na hindi ko nga maintindihan si BBM Mambing kasi sabi niya 1,000 ang gusto nang bumalik sa Pilipinas. Tapos next figure is 1,004. Sabi ko, ano ba talaga? Asan ba talaga ang exact figures ng DFA at ng ibang mga ahensya ng gobyerno natin na kung saan dapat alam nila kung anong exact figure. Pero ang sabi pa ni BBM Mambing, mahihirapan daw ang Pilipinas i-evacuate. Syempre mahihirapan kasi hindi nila inayos yan from the very first time.
That's right.
Dapat Mambing, ano pa lang, Friday pa lang or Saturday pa lang, nagmi-meeting na sila how they gonna evacuate our OFWs from the Middle East. So, evacuation scenario is a big problem right now, lalo na kasi close na lahat, nagbubombahan na. Pangalawa, ma'am, yung sinasabi mong remittances. Anong impact niyan? Magkakaroon po definitely ng remittances disruptions. Kasi kung titignan mo ang Gulf state na around 2 to 4 million Filipinos ang nandun, ngayon 1,400 pa lang daw. May casualties na rin tayo sa Israel. So, ang financial system ng mga countries na to would stop because their buildings are being bombed. And also, yes ma'am, binabomb po lahat ngayon. On the other hand, so ibig sabihin, ang flow of money will to certain extent disrupted. Syempre ma'am, tayo, ang Pilipinas po, to be very honest, ang macroeconomic stability ng Pilipinas, one factor that's very important ma'am, is actually ma'am, the remittances of OFW.
Yes.
Ang yes. So kung magkakaroon yan ng disruption at sabihin natin ko konti ang remittances, magkakaroon yan ng impact sa economy, especially when you talk about liquidity natin as a country. And on the other hand, a pressure on the peso. Kasi ma'am, when we buy oil and we buy other imported products in the international market, we use US dollar. So ibig sabihin ma'am, for the same amount of good before, mas maraming peso ang kailangan mo kasi mas mahal na ngayon ang presyo. Like for example, oil, ang prediction po ng mga financial analysts is maybe it will reach $100 per barrel to 200 in the immediate.
Wow.
So ma'am,
and right
yes
now,
ma'am.
how much is that? How much is it?
Ma'am, ngayon I think it's around 80. 80 to 60 in the international market. So it's already an increase. At saka mayroon daw fuel increase na already sa ating domestic market, ma'am. Mga 10 pesos na ata ang fuel sa atin, pati yung gasolina. So it's already an increase. Ang problema po sa Pilipinas, ma'am, and even other countries, kapag nag-increase ang fuel, whatever kind of energy-related products, ma'am, mag-i-increase ang food cost, mag-i-increase ang electricity and other
Transportation.
transportation, lahat ma'am, kabit-kabit yan eh.
Yeah.
So yun ang malaking problema. And another thing ma'am na hindi, dapat ma'am, na-anticipate na ni BBM as president is yung labor displacement. Ma'am, kasi kapag tumagal yung war na yan, definitely there would be possibility na mas maraming Filipino OFWs ang i-evacuate, and then pagdating sa Pilipinas,
Walang
you need
trabaho.
walang trabaho, ma'am, but the government needs to make some kind of assistance. Ang tanong, ma'am, saan kukunin ni BBM ang mga assistance mo when in fact we are deficit when you talk about budget?
Right.
Sabi ni Recto, ang ano natin, ma'am, 2026 budget ay kulang pa ng around more than 26 billion. I'm not
200.
sure, ma'am, but
200 billion.
100 billion. So, ma'am, saan mo kukunin yon? Kasi pag pinag-uusapan natin dyan, ma'am, pera pa rin. May deficit na nga ang 2026 budget mo.
Di bayaran ni BBM yung 203 billion na estate tax due natin. O di
Ayun, ma'am.
linis na yung deficit, di ba, Secretary Recto? Singilin mo na si
Yun.
BBM ng estate tax natin. Please continue,
dapat, ma'am.
Dr. Ana.
Oo, ma'am, dapat talaga singilin at dapat talaga, ma'am, ma-resolve yung mga corruption na nangyayari sa Pilipinas kasi yan ang isa din sa mga issues. Ma'am, kasi another impact, ma'am, magsisegue tayo sa geopolitics in a matter of time. This is the economic side. Tapos, ma'am, just to continue, maritime trade pressure, magkakaroon din yan kasi maritime, ang Pilipinas is a maritime country. And then financial volatility, sabi ko nga, there will be a pressure on peso and then you need more peso to buy goods in the international market because of the prices of goods na tumataas. Ma'am, ang Pilipinas po ay hindi lang import dependent sa dollars. One thing that we have to remember, we import almost everything kasi ang agricultural sector
Yes.
natin, ma'am, hindi ganoon ka-effective or efficient or wala kang talagang productivity. Rice we import. Even salt, ma'am, we import. So paano yan? When there is a war, usually, ma'am, in international relation and in geopolitics, ang inuuna ng mga bansa is protektahan ang kanilang country. So ibig sabihin, lilimitahan nila, ma'am, yung pag-export nila ng goods kasi they need to have self-sufficiency. So that will start also in a matter of time. Kapag itong war sa Middle East is lalo pang mag-escalate at magkaroon ng spillover effect. So that is also another problem ng Pilipinas na dapat ngayon pa lang, ma'am, yung ating mga so-called leaders, pinag-uusapan na ito, meeting na mitigation, ano yung plan na hindi alam ng mga Pilipino kasi busy sila, ma'am, sa impeachment ni Sara Duterte.
That's
which
correct.
is crazy talaga, ma'am. And then investment climate. This is the one na mag-shift ako, ma'am, with the issue naman, ma'am, ng EDCA. Kasi investment, ma'am, based on our data na actually, ma'am, nagsulat ako dito, ang investment sa Pilipinas, one of the problem of the Philippine economy at the moment is yung tinatawag natin, ma'am, na confidence ng investors. This is actually both the foreign investor at saka local investor. So ngayon, bumaba po ng 5.7% in real terms sa fourth quarter ng 2025 ang investment sa Pilipinas. Kasi nga, walang confidence ang mga foreign and local investors precisely because,
Of corruption.
unang-una, mataas po ang index ng corruption sa Pilipinas. And it is known across the world. Akala kasi ni BBM at ng mga officials niya hindi alam ng mundo. Alam po ng mundo kung ano nangyari sa Pilipinas. So that's one thing. Now, in connection to the Iran crisis, Middle East crisis at the moment po, ma'am, kung titingnan natin, if you look at geopolitics po, lahat ng ang binobomba din ng Iran is not just Israel. It's bombing also what you call allied countries of the United States. And if you look at the allied countries, ang binobomba nila, US facilities, military bases, at saka any facilities that is connected to Israel and even the United States, especially military. Now, ang sitwasyon na to, the Philippines and Filipino people dapat mag-isip. Kasi bakit po? May EDCA sites.
How
How
many?
EDCA sites? ang EDCA sites po, kahit ano pang sabihin ng National Security Council at ni Gibo at saka ng military na EDCA sites are not US military bases, ma'am. It is a US military bases. First and foremost, why? Ma'am, first, rotation of US troops on the ground. It's obvious. Andyan ang BFA mo. Saan ba sila nakastation? Alam ka na naman, ma'am, nagliliwaliw sila sa BGC and Makati. Of course, they are stationed in different EDCA sites. Second is prepositioning of US military equipment, assets, and supplies. And these are not just low level. Ma'am, the United States deployed Typhoon missile system, and now they said that they will deploy mid-range missile system. That is not okay. As far as the Philippines is concerned, if you look a parallel situation right now in the Gulf state allied by the United States. The other one, ma'am, is build up facilities, a new site for military logistic and operation. How it is connected to the so-called perception of confidence in the Philippine economy and the Philippines as an investment hub, quote unquote. Ma'am, hindi mag-i-invest sa Pilipinas, aside from corruption, hindi mag-i-invest ang seryosong investor, especially foreign investors, sa Pilipinas kung nakikita nila that the Philippines is a frontline state ng United States.
It's vulnerable to military attack.
Vulnerable ka kasi, ma'am. At ako, halimbawa, ma'am, ako ang investor, titignan ko, may corruption na nga kayo, red tape na nga kayo, mayroon pa frontline state pa kayo. So, baka naman magka-problema ako sa aking investment at business ko diyan kung diyan
And
ako
logistics.
And logistics, yes, ma'am. So kung titignan mo, ma'am, yung nangyayari sa Middle East should be an eye-opening sa mga Pilipino na kailangan natin maintindihan na yung in geopolitics, yung tinatawag mong EDCA sites, they should not cover it up na hindi yan EDCA sites, hindi yan US military bases. We have to see it for what it is. Kasi ma'am, mag-impact yan geopolitically speaking sa atin and at the same time economy-wise, especially when you talk about confidence in investing in the Philippines. On the other hand, ma'am, kahit pagbalik rin natin ang mundo, ma'am, given that EDCA sites are in the Philippines, ang tingin talaga sa Pilipinas ng lahat, China, Russia, all major powers is like this. We are part of the so-called strategic and military architecture of the Philippines, of the United States globally. So when you talk about this, it means the perceived adversary or quote-unquote adversaries of the United States, tinitignan din ang Pilipinas. Why? Maybe if there would be a spillover effect, itong nangyayari sa Middle East, the United States may decide to use their bases in the Philippines
As a launching pad.
Launching pad, refueling, operational interoperability or whatsoever. That is a possibility. Kasi ma'am ngayon, kung makikita mo, even in Japan, ang mga officials ng Japan, nagmi-meeting na sila and they're questioning already why the Japanese government is on the side of the United States saying they support the war a war against Iran by the United States. So, may mga ganitong usapan na. And then, ito yung mga bagay na I think maintindihan ng Pilipino na kung saan itong BBM government, ma'am, is tinatry pa nilang i-smoke screen lahat. Na para bang sandali muna, hindi nyo naiintindihan ang impact nito sa Pilipinas, both geopolitical speaking and survival of our country and our people, and at the same time, the economic impact. So, ilagay po natin, dalawa ho yan, ang impact ng Middle East crisis directly on the economy. That's painful. Kasi ma'am, kung titignan mo po, ang GDP growth po ng 2025 ng Pilipinas is 4.4. Hindi niya na-achieve ang kanyang goal na 6.5. That is a big blow to the BBM administration. Ang fourth quarter of 2025 is 3.0 lang ang GDP mo. That is way below the expectation. Now, pagdating naman ma'am, aside from the issue ng investment, marami kang issue din ma'am when you talk about unemployment, underemployment, inflation.
Unemployment, 2.26 million.
Yes, ma'am. So, pag samasamahin mo yan,
Inflation
plus
umakyat, kakaakyat lang yung bagong
yung bagong
bagong
forecast,
rate.
ma'am. Oo, ma'am.
Inflation went up.
Yes, ma'am. So, inflation went up already. Hindi pa nga tayo, ma'am, nasa ano pa lang tayo, ma'am, nasa 4
Wala pa
days.
yung hindi pa nag-i-increase yung gasolina.
Yes, ma'am.
Oo.
So, ma'am, nag-increase na daw. May
nag-increase na ba?
ma'am. Oo,
Yeah.
nag-increase na po. Oo, yan. Tapos ma'am, take note, our national debt is 17.7 trillion and then 63.2% debt to GDP ratio, which is beyond the threshold already. Because in a country, pag lumampas ka ng 60% debt to GDP ratio, it's already a signal. Parang, ops, red light na yan, mag-ingat ka na. So may ganun din. So kung sumahin mo ma'am, the Philippines really is in a very dire situation. At ano pa yan, ma'am, na compounded pa siya dahil biglang nagkaroon ka ng Middle East crisis. Ang tanong kasi dyan, ano ang mitigating plan ni BBM? What is that plan? May plano
Pinapahanda
ba?
daw niya, Ana, ang Armed Forces of the Philippines na pag may digmaan ay they can last for 20 to 30 days. Ewan ko kung anong klaseng reason that I suppose BBM expects a man-to-man war on land, but you know the war now, it's a missile attack.
Yes, ma'am.
I don't understand why the military had this is their frontline speech, di ba? Na we are ready for a war. No, we want to know what BBM has a plan. If he has a plan, na paano po tama economic mitigation dahil sa problemang nagdigmaang ito. Ang isa pang tinatanong, Ma'am Ana, is yung oil reserve daw ng Pilipinas, sabi ni BBM, ay good for 60 days. Anong masasabi nyo dyan?
Eh yun na nga, nagkakaano din kasi nung una kong nabasa ma'am, sabi niya good for 60 days at yung iba naman na reports ang sinasabi good for 30 days. So sabi ko, ano ba talaga? Mayroon ba sila talagang figure na it's good for 30 days, 60 days? Pero to be very honest po, it doesn't really matter at the moment. Kasi, okay, you have oil reserve, but even then, the prices of oil will already go up. Yun yung immediate How you gonna buffer the rise oil prices?
At saan ka bibili? Ma'am Ana,
Yun din, ma'am.
saan siya bibili?
Mahirap yan, ma'am. Kasi kung bibili ka with everything that is closed in the Middle East right now, yung air mo...
O saan si BBM bibili ng oil?
Ang
ng
alternative lang
gasolina?
natin, ma'am, ang alternative natin, to be frank with you, kung may pera tayo, which is yun ang problema, is either you buy it from the United States, which is a malayo, that would be costly, or you buy it from Africa, like for countries like Algeria and Nigeria. Ma'am, my God, ang layo nun.
Oo,
At saka ang
pero
problema
iikot
dyan,
sila.
ma'am, iikot sila, ma'am.
Yes.
Ang problema dyan, ma'am, kasi iikot ka, may insurance yan, ibabayaran mo yan, may freight cost yan. So mataas pa rin. Ang
So
tanong,
China lang ang may supply kasi siya lang padadaanin sa Strait of Hormuz.
yes, and
Hindi
Russia.
naman bibili si BBM sa China.
Ayun ang problema niya kasi hindi maganda ang relationship natin with China at the moment. At saka, with the new announcement of the United States saying na they will deploy more mid-range missile systems sa Pilipinas, that is a no-no to China. As far as China is concerned, they oppose this. They've been opposing, ma'am, yung Typhoon missile system deployed already in the northern Luzon. Kaya nagiinit ang ulo ng China dyan. Kasi malapit yan sa Taiwan.
Right.
And we know that Taiwan is the soft belly and actually there are two soft bellies, ma'am, ng China. That is the South China Sea, pero hindi pa ako nangangamba dyan masyado, ma'am, though very critical yan, and it's a spot for any kind of military conflict. However, maraming players dyan, ma'am, andyan naman yung Malaysia, andyan din yung Vietnam. So hindi ganun ka, kumbaga, to have a military escalation, medyo mas lower ang ang possibility. Ang mahirap, ma'am, itong Taiwan part, which is ang deployment, ma'am, ng mga assets ng Amerika is actually nandun sa area na yon. Kasi Batanes is not declared as an EDCA site. But actually, if you really look at Batanes, ma'am, it is an EDCA site.
It's very near China.
Yeah, very near Taiwan. And also
Taiwan,
Taiwan po. So, ang Taiwan is part of China. So, in a way, ma'am, may ganun talaga na dynamic. So, kaya maganda itong programa natin, ma'am, ngayong araw na to para maintindihan ng ating mga kababayan na ang problema ng Pilipinas dahil sa BBM government na yan is multi-level.
Yes.
Mayroon kang economic, mayroon kang international relation, you have a problem with your largest trading partner, which is China, both import and export, kasi sila talaga ang largest trading partner. Supposedly, China is one of our number 5, number 3 investors sa Pilipinas. So,
Investor confidence is very, very low because ang
Very
BBM
weak, ma'am.
administration, massive corruption is very, very high. And
Yes.
our problem now is not just that we have a limited supply of oil and we will suffer from the increase in prices and our economy will suffer, but that BBM now, if it lasts more than 30 days, might not be able to buy oil nearby. So it's still going to cost the Philippines more.
it is still a problem, ma'am.
Right. I think, Ma'am Ana, we will have a part 2 ng
Yes,
episode na ito dahil hindi po ito matatapos sa isang upuan lamang. Kaya, Ma'am Ana, can we call you again maybe next week so we can have an update?
Yes, ma'am. Pag ikaw mang nag-request, always yes. Thank you so much, ma'am, for
fantastic.
inviting me.
Salamat po sa inyong tiwala sa akin at sa Usapang Matino. Mga kaibigan, pagpatuloy po natin dito sa susunod na kabanata.